Hi, my name is Caroline Button, and this is my technology lesson plan for ITEC 7430. I would like to first start with the net standards for students that I chose. I chose 1 and 2, creativity and communication. The content standards that were used for the lesson was that students were able to choose their own content standards. They could choose a standard from math, language arts, social studies, or science of their own choice. The objective of the lesson was students will create a Weebly site demonstrating their knowledge on a chosen standard. Students will complete a reflection blog and comment on other groups' reflection blog. The internet tools that were used was every student would create a Weebly site or Weebly blog, and then the students would be able to choose which project they would put on their blog, from Creations, which they could do screencasts and how-to videos, Google Drive, where they can do letters, they could write a paper or write a letter to a younger student, Google Draw, where they can do concept maps, and Google Slide, which would be your basic PowerPoint type presentation. Here is an example of a student Weebly website, or a groups of students Weebly website, where they chose to do their project on adding decimals. They have their standard listed here, and then they did the Creation screencast, which is right here. That's how to add in decimals, where they just did a how-to video. Another student example that I have to show is one that used Google Draw to do a concept map. This particular group chose Israel as their standard, which is a 7th grade social studies standard. Differentiation was used throughout the lesson. Students were able to choose if they worked alone or with a group, and then they were able to choose the standard that they would work on and the content of the standard. The students were also able to choose which tool they wanted to use to show that they knew their standard. Access to computers was for everyone. We had a class set of netbooks, so there was a class set, and students were also allowed to bring in personal computers if they would rather use those. Authentic learning was provided throughout the entire lesson. Students were able to create and also collaborate with their peers, and then at the end of the lesson they were able to respond to other people's blogs by giving them feedback and suggestions. Troubleshooting ahead of time. Previous to the lesson, I planned out some paper and pencil activities that students could do in case our network at school stopped working, which it has in the past, where internet just stops working for a few hours or for a short period of time. So that way students could still work on the project, and then the next day they would just take a screenshot of their paper and pencil activity and upload it to their Weebly website. Assistive technology was available. We do have technology such as Natural Reader. However, due to the students being able to choose their groups, we did not have to use any assistive technology for this particular project. The rubric that was used for the students was just gave them a checklist of everything that was expected, and that way they could know what was expected and how many points was for each. For example, the show your knowledge, where they actually had to create the project, was worth the most amount of points. Students were also given a checklist in order to know which order to do each activity in. Overall, the reflection challenges that occurred was time constraints. I had originally planned for the lesson to last 2 days, and I quickly found out that the lesson really needed to be more of 3 to 4 days. Another challenge was that because this particular class has 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students, was that students were working on all different types of standards and different grade levels, so I had to really be on the top of my game in order to help them develop the best website possible. One improvement that I would really make would be to demonstrate to students how to comment on other people's blogs, to really give them the appropriate feedback. I had a lot of comments that said you did a really good job, but didn't really give them the feedback that I was looking for. And I think sometimes the students didn't want to give feedback because they're afraid of not knowing what to say. And I think if I would have demonstrated it better, students would have done a better job at commenting on other blogs. That's all I have. Thank you.